Good morning to everyone. I would like to call this session to order. I would like to acknowledge the members of Cabinet, the Honorable Sir Morgan Joseph, Minister of Health, Social Transformation and the Environment. I would also like to acknowledge the other members of Parliament who are present. I would like to acknowledge the members of the Diplomatic Corps, as well as our senior officials, my colleague PS, Mr. Joseph, etc. I would like to say good morning to you, the distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would now like us all to stand at attention as we have the playing of the national anthem. Thank you very much. Good morning and a very happy UN Day. It is indeed a great honor for me to cordially welcome you to this ceremony in celebration of the 43rd anniversary of the United Nations in Antigua and Barbuda. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is pleased to collaborate with the United Nations annually to celebrate this momentous occasion. This year's theme focuses on SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, and SDG 17, partnership for the goals. These themes resonate deeply with us as a small island development state, where international collaboration is pivotal to our progress. Antigua and Barbuda, in partnership with the United Nations, continues to contribute significantly to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Our government has been working tirelessly to ensure that we only accelerate the SDGs to a point where they can be self-actualized. Antigua and Barbuda continues to play a helpful and dynamic partner within the region, particularly in areas like climate change, economic resilience, and inclusive growth. Through initiatives that ensure decent work, sustainable livelihoods, and economic prosperity for all, we are playing our part in realizing a brighter, more sustainable future. In alignment with the UN Human Rights Charter, our actions reaffirm Antigua and Barbuda's commitment to ensuring the rights, dignity, and inclusion of the most vulnerable members of society. This commitment is further emphasized in our role as advocates for SIDS as we navigate unique challenges such as climate vulnerability and economic dependency. Ladies and gentlemen, it is impossible to address these challenges in isolation. Our success is largely driven by our partnerships with the international community, private sector, bilateral allies, and the many key institutions, countries, and organizations that work alongside us to promote equality, prosperity, and peace for all. Antigua will continue to be at the forefront of efforts to enhance these partnerships, making our nation the foundation for the Center of Excellence, a building block for international peace and cooperation. This center will serve as another component of our dedication to our global collaboration and development. As we gather today, we celebrate UN Day exactly 1 week before Antigua and Barbuda's 43rd anniversary of independence. This proximity symbolizes our unwavering commitment to the multilateral system since the moment we became a sovereign nation. Antigua and Barbuda's journey over the years stands as a testament to our belief in the values upheld by the United Nations, especially as we strive to uphold global peace, cooperation, and sustainable development. Our nation is steadily transitioning to renewable energy resources, thus heralding a greener and more environmentally friendly tomorrow. In doing this, we align ourselves with global efforts to combat climate change while ensuring sustainable economic growth and environmental preservation for generations to come. In conclusion, I'm certain that all of us here today, whether from the diplomatic corps, government, or the wider community, will continue to play our part in the realization of the SDGs and help avoid the missteps of the past. Antigua and Barbuda, through our work and initiatives, will remain steadfast in contributing to a future global society of peace, equality, and prosperity. Once more, welcome to this celebration, and let's have a blessed UN Day. Thank you. At this point, we'll now have a message from Mr. Simon Springett, Resident Coordinator from the United Nations Barbados and Eastern Caribbean, and this message will be played by video.
Dear friends, a very happy United Nations Day. United Nations Day is a day to celebrate and to support a vision of an inclusive, networked, and effective multilateral system to better respond and deliver for people and planet, including across the Caribbean, towards a world of peace, sustainable development, and human rights for all, a world that is stronger together. With this, I would like to express my gratitude for the support and the partnership extended to the United Nations by governments and communities across the Eastern Caribbean. This is especially important at this moment in time when we require diplomacy to steer us towards a more peaceful, prosperous, and just future. The world and the Eastern Caribbean are facing a multitude of interrelated challenges: climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss, coupled with issues of access for financing for development. We all feel the enormity of responsibility to support citizens and communities, to leave no one behind. Future generations depend on the choices we make or fail to make today, and our willingness to come together around a commitment to collective problem solving and action. The United Nations across the Eastern Caribbean is bigger than the sum of its parts. 23 United Nations agencies, funds, and programs are working hand in hand with all governments in the region to deliver joint results against government priorities in support of people, families, and communities. On this United Nations Day, let us commit with hope and determination to build a better world. Please join us in celebrations on this United Nations Day.
Thank you very much. We will now have another video message, and this will be from the Honorable E.P. Chet Green, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Trade, and Barbuda Affairs.
His Excellency Simon Springett, UN Resident Coordinator for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, His Excellency Clarence Pilgrim, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Joan Joseph, Permanent Secretary, the Office of the Prime Minister, other government officials, distinguished guests, staff members, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as we gather to commemorate United Nations Day, we affirm our commitment to the principles and ideals that unite us as a global community. This day serves as a poignant reminder of the vital role the United Nations plays in fostering peace, security, and development across the world, particularly here in our beloved Antigua and Barbuda. As we mark the 79th anniversary of the United Nations, let us not forget that the founding of the UN was a beacon of hope for nations emerging from the shadows of conflict and division. As we reflect on the progress made since then, we must also acknowledge the challenges that persist. Climate change, economic inequality, and social injustice continue to threaten our collective future. Antigua and Barbuda, with its unique vulnerabilities, stands at the forefront of these challenges, facing the harsh realities of rising sea levels, extreme weather conditions, and urgent need for sustainable development. Currently, Antigua and Barbuda is partnering with the United Nations Development System to implement the UN Country Implementation Plan for the period 2024 to 2025. This engagement represents a strong commitment by the UN Regional Office to better serve small island developing states and the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. In this regard, Antigua and Barbuda remains committed to support the efforts of all citizens in achieving sustainable development and resilient prosperity. To achieve this, our programs and projects must be targeted and results-focused, enabling SIDS full ownership of the ABAS as we seek to establish partnerships of equals, upholding values of equity, mutual trust, transparency, and accountability over the next 10 years. Antigua and Barbuda is committed to the principles of multilateralism and cooperation. We understand that our strength lies in our unity and in collaboration. Together we can advocate for the voices of small island developing states to be heard on the global stage. We must work collectively and assiduously to ensure that our needs and aspirations are addressed in all international fora, particularly in discussions surrounding climate action, sustainable development, and the protection of our marine resources. Due to the increase in destructive hurricanes and other natural disasters, and an unpredictable world, the future sits without adequate economic measuring tools that do not fully recognize and respond to competing and growing vulnerabilities. Our future is gloomy. Without an MVI that shows in a data-driven manner just how some countries are more vulnerable than others, SIDS' ability to withstand pandemics, economic shocks and disasters and climate change will all be lost. On this UN Day, let us reaffirm our dedication to the Sustainable Development Goals. These goals are not merely a set of targets, but they represent our shared vision for a better world. As we strive to achieve these goals, we must ensure that no one is left behind. We must prioritize the empowerment of our women, of girls, the protection of our youth, and the inclusion of marginalized communities in our development agendas. As we celebrate this UN Day, the achievements of the United Nations, let us also remember the work that lies ahead. Let us recommit ourselves to the ideas of peace, of justice and equality. Together we can build a future where every Antiguan and Barbudan citizen can thrive, where our cultures are celebrated, and where our environment is protected for generations to come. In closing, let me extend heartfelt gratitude to all those who work tirelessly within the UN system to promote peace and development. Let us continue to stand together in solidarity as we strive to create a world that reflects our shared values and aspirations. I welcome Mr. Simon Springett, our new regional coordinator to the region, and look forward to productive results in our partnership to make the Eastern Caribbean even more prosperous. Additionally, I wish to commend the work of His Excellency Dr. Aubrey Webson, our permanent representative to the United Nations, and his hard-working team for their continued dedication and commitment in ensuring the available support and provision of timely projects within the UN system. To my team here at headquarters, I thank you for your support and continued engagement with our many multilateral and bilateral partners. Let me recognize the work of Joy Mary King, in spearheading our efforts in achieving the SDGs. Appreciation also to Power for the tremendous work done by our local team and the Ministry of Health in helping us to improve and develop sound healthcare systems. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, UN Women, UNOPS, United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, the World Food Programme, WFP, and all the other specialized UN agencies for your continued contribution to the long-term development of Antigua and Barbuda. I place on record our abiding thanks and appreciation. I urge each and every one of us here today to remember that the UN and the UN Day offers an opportunity to amplify our common agenda and reaffirm the purposes and principles of the UN Charter that have guided us for the past 79 years. I could not end without, before, and unless I recognize and thank those who have committed life and limb to the cause of justice, peace, and safety around the world. Happy UN Day, and thank you.
That was the Honorable E.P. Chet Green, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Trade, and Barbuda Affairs. Now, to conclude this brief ceremony, I'm going to call upon a very familiar person, Mrs. Andrea Andrew, our Country Coordinations Officer, to give us the closing vote of thanks.
All established protocols previously established observed. Good morning. As I deliver today's closing remarks and vote of thanks, I would like to again reflect on the theme for UN Day this year, SDG 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth, and SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals. Our region is one of the most vulnerable regions on the planet, characterized by small economies, small populations, and we are prone to natural disasters. Increasing debt levels are currently constricting national budgets, limiting the ability of our small states to allocate adequate resources to key areas, which leads to deep social gaps. Now more than ever, we need to tackle the challenges of trade imbalances, increased indebtedness, communicable and non-communicable diseases, food insecurity, natural disasters, and the adverse effects of climate change head-on. Despite the progress observed in many areas, which is very encouraging, other critical issues remain. Many people today wonder how growth can be measured to include the circular economy, ecological diversity, and social justice. To this, the theme for Antigua and Barbuda's 43rd anniversary of independence is quite fitting, from community collaboration to global gains, because it is through our collaborative efforts to promote strong partnerships and work together for the goals, we will see tangible steps towards a bright and peaceful future. It is within the spirit of collaboration and partnership that I would like to thank the government and people of Antigua and Barbuda for their commitment to multilateralism and global development. The UN is pleased to have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a key partner every year to partner with the UN. My script has gone bonkers. To partner with the UN on our many activities for SDG acceleration. We also like to thank the Office of the Prime Minister and his Permanent Secretary, John Joseph, for always being a gracious host to the UN. To our many development partners, the international community, many of our ambassadors and government officials represented today, we again thank you for being such a great ally and friend to the United Nations. To all our UN agencies here today, I see many familiar faces. We again welcome UN Women in joining our UN Common Premises earlier this year, and we look forward to having many more agencies calling Antigua and Barbuda their home in their near future. To our civil society organizations who always come out and support our SDG activities, thank you. And to our many other partners in the private sector and beyond, Again, the UN wishes a strong collaboration going forward. Happy UN Day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your excellent closing remarks and vote of thanks. We have come to the end of this brief ceremony. We thank you for coming out to support this day, and we wish you a wonderful UN Day. Have a good one.